The one motor show that two-wheeler enthusiasts keep a watch out for globally is the EICMA Motorcycle Show. It is the biggest two-wheeler only motor show in the world, and every year it serves up a delectable display of scooters and motorcycles.
Four wheels move your body, but two wheels, they move your soul. And all around me, there's a lot of food for soul. We are here at 2019 EICMA Motorcycle Show in Milan, Italy. And EICMA, as always, has the best of two wheels from across the globe. Let's see what 2019 EICMA has to offer.
We start off with the biggest and the most important of them all, the much awaited KTM 390 Adventure.
Finally, the covers are off of the new KTM 390 Adventure. This is it. We are here at EICMA 2019, and as far as India is concerned, the KTM 390 Adventure, the unveiling of the KTM 390 Adventure is perhaps the most significant as far as the Indian market is concerned. So what's new about this motorcycle? Well, it's a touring motorcycle. It is based on the KTM 390 Duke, of course. Same engine, same output, 43 brake horsepower, 37 Newton meters of peak torque. But what's different? Well, the wheels, they are different. 19-inch alloy front, 17-inch alloy at the rear. Also, the ground clearance stays the same.
The design of the KTM 390 Adventure is more or less similar to the 390 Duke. Sure, there are a few body panels which are different, and the front end looks a little different thanks to the windscreen and the bigger wheel. Other features include a switchable traction control system and ABS along with adjustable suspension. Plus, the 390 Adventure gets a longer wheelbase at 1430 mm compared to the 1357 mm of the 390 Duke.
The suspension travel on the KTM 390 Adventure is more than that of the KTM 390 Duke. Up front, it's 170 mm of suspension travel. At the rear, it's 177 mm. The ground clearance also stays the same at 200 millimeters. And this is a motorcycle that you'll be not very comfortable standing up and riding because the handlebars is slightly low set. If the handlebars are slightly higher, it would have helped more. The seat height at 855 mm, it might be a bother for Indian riders on the shorter side. We believe that KTM will launch the 390 Adventure in India by the end of 2019, which is barely a couple of months from now. And when it is launched, this one, it will go up against the BMW G310 GS and the Royal Enfield Himalayan.
Up next is a different kind of a beast. It was the first time we laid eyes on the Ducati STREETFIGHTER V4, and boy, it was definitely love at first sight.
One of the stars at the 2019 EICMA Motorcycle Show is this, the Ducati STREETFIGHTER V4. Yes, it is a naked roadster version of the Panigale V4, gets the same engine, makes 208 horses and 123 Newton meters of peak torque. The USP though is the sexy, sharp design.
The Ducati STREETFIGHTER V4 shares its electronics package with the Ducati Panigale V4 and sports an aggressive design with biplane wings for downforce. The new model is available in two versions, the base STREETFIGHTER V4 and the STREETFIGHTER V4S. Like the Panigale V4 and the V4S, the highest spec naked gets Öhlins electronic suspension, Öhlins steering damper and lightweight Marchesini wheels. The fuel and throttle maps have been tweaked on the naked along with a shorter final drive ratio. The STREETFIGHTER V4 will be coming to India in 2020 and we expect the base version to be priced at around 19 to 20 lakh rupees. Up next is the deadly duo from Harley-Davidson. Two design types which were never seen before. An adventure bike and a naked street fighter. Yes, from Harley. The PANAMERICA is a full-blown adventure bike and it is big. The design too is refreshingly different from the regular ADVs that we are used to seeing. It gets Harley's brand new Revolution Max engine, which is a liquid-cooled V-twin unit displacing 1250cc and pumps out 143 brake horsepower along with 122 Newton meters of peak torque. The other model showcased at the Harley Pavilion was the BRONX, which is a naked street fighter, and it too uses the same Revolution Max V-twin but displaces 975cc along with making 115 brake horsepower and 95 Newton meters of peak torque. Both models will be launched in late 2020 or early 2021. We quite like the new thought and direction that Harley is taking, especially with these two models. It is now time for Japanese manufacturers to take center stage, and one of the biggest stars from the Far East was the Kawasaki ZH2. The ZH2 is a supercharged street naked motorcycle derived from the beastly Kawasaki Ninja H2. Like all Kawasaki nakeds, this one too gets over-the-top styling which is sharp and aggressive. The motorcycle gets a muscular fuel tank along with extensions and an exposed frame. It gets the same 998cc inline 4-cylinder engine which is supercharged and pumps out 200 brake horsepower at 11,000 rpm along with 137 Newton meters at 8,500 rpm. There is a new bi-directional quick shifter on offer too. The other big Japanese manufacturer that made its presence felt is Honda, and its showstopper was the 2020 Honda CBR 1000 RRR Fireblade. The brand Fireblade is the flagship model and gets more power along with new technology. The inline 4-cylinder engine is heavily inspired by Honda's RC213V MotoGP machine. It is the most powerful inline 4-cylinder engine that Honda has ever made. It puts out maximum power of 212 brake horsepower at 14,500 rpm and peak torque of 113 Newton meters at 12,500 rpm. It gets a curb weight of just 201 kg. There is a new 6-axis inertial measurement unit from Bosch, and this new IMU manages all of the rider electronic system, of which there is a bucket full. The SP variant gets upgraded brakes and top-notch adjustable suspension.
And finally, we now have some action from the adventure sports side of things. This behind me is the 2020 Honda Africa Twin. It gets a bigger engine, a slimmer bodywork, looks sharper, sexier, and this will be coming to India sometime in 2020, probably the first half of 2020.
The big difference in the 2020 Honda Africa Twin range is the new and bigger engine, with displacement bumped up to 1084cc, with 7% more torque and 6% more peak power. It puts out 101 brake horsepower at 7500 rpm and 105 Newton meters of peak torque at 6250 rpm. The electronic suite of the 2020 Honda Africa Twin also has been completely updated with the Honda Selectable Torque Control, Honda's version of traction control system. It is now powered by the 6-axis IMU, and the engine now features 4 power levels and 3 levels of electronic engine braking. It also gets 7 levels of HSTC. Honda has also added wheelie control to the latest model of the Africa Twin with 3 levels of input. The 600cc Supersport segment is not exactly blooming globally, but Aprilia revealed the RS660, which looks oh so lovely. and it is bound to seduce enthusiasts who are looking for a whole lot of performance and not a leader class sport bike. The new RS 660 is powered by an all-new 660cc Euro 5 compliant parallel twin engine which puts out 100 brake horsepower, although the RPM and peak torque figures have not been released yet. The bike gets a 6-axis IMU with a long list of electronic aids such as cornering ABS, traction control, 5 riding modes and wheelie control as well. The design is inspired by the RSV4 Superbike and features a double fairing with the extra outer fairing set to increase downforce to keep the bike stable at high speeds. BMW too showed a couple of brand new models at EICMA 2019 which caught a fancy: the F900XR and the F900R.
BMW Motorrad has introduced this new range of middleweight motorcycles, which is the F900R that is standing right behind me and the F900XR. Both motorcycles get the same parallel twin engine which are found on the BMW F850 GS and the F750 GS. Now, the point to be noted here is the 850cc engine which was there in the 850 GS is being upgraded to 895cc engine. The power output is about 103 to 104 brake horsepower.
Both bikes get 2 riding modes as standard, which are road and rain. There's also ABS, traction control and full color TFT dash with Bluetooth integration. There will be optional electronics on offer too, such as dynamic traction control, brake control and drag torque control as well, and the riding modes Pro. One of the coolest and the most radical looking motorcycle at EICMA 2019 was the Aston Martin BROUGH Superior AMB 001, which was built in collaboration between Aston Martin and BROUGH Superior, two iconic British motoring brands. The AMB 001, it is a visual treat and it is ultra exclusive too. Only 100 units will be manufactured and by hand, and it is a track only motorcycle. It gets a 997cc V-twin motor that belts out 180 brake horsepower. It costs about 108 lakh euros, which is about 85 lakh rupees. Yes, it is eye-wateringly expensive.
The new cruiser for 2020 from Indian Motorcycle is the Indian Challenger. It's a brand new model and it gets a brand new engine as well. It's a 1768cc V-twin which makes about 121 brake horsepower and a massive 173.5 Newton meters of peak torque.
The 3 variants are standard, dark horse and limited. Riders can also customize the bike's throttle mapping by selecting one of the 3 modes, which are rain, standard and sport, and are set to offer distinct riding experiences. And lastly, we round off a list of top EICMA motorcycles with the Hero Extreme 1R concept, which shows the new design direction that Hero would like to take with its future 150 to 200cc motorcycles. Yes, it is a sports commuter, and Hero says that the design is inspired by an arrow and its precision. Of course, this is just a concept and the production version will be toned down, but the Extreme 1R concept is something that will definitely sit well with the youth when it is launched in India by the end of 2020.